today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about businesses with a heart and how to kind of show your heart as a business through social media over the coming weeks. So this is what we're going to cover today. So how to use the detail to hammer home connection on social media. I think one of the biggest things that I've spoken to businesses about recently is all about connection on social media. It's kind of why people go on there. You know, it's to buy a product, but it's also to connect. So we're going to talk a little bit about different tools that you can use for that. We're going to look into collaboration. So how to collaborate on social media, working with other businesses and people, encouraging people to talk and how that can create connection and content. One of the biggest things is how to get engagement on social media. So I'm going to come up with some ideas on how we can do that. And then being thankful. So how you can sort of celebrate your people and your achievements on social media and how that creates, I guess, all of the above really, how that creates connection and also can drive footfall. This is Maybe Dashboard. So for those of you guys who haven't seen it before, this is where the magic happens. So on the left here, you have what your best post would be for that time period. And then you also then can compare yourself to any other competitor or any other business that I guess, you know, that you find interesting, that you want to learn from. And then up the top there, you've got everything from scheduling your content right through to your ads and how to and yeah, basically managing your ads and building up audiences and that kind of thing. So it's all there at the touch of a button. And as usual, if you've got any questions at all that you can't answer here, then just click on the little blue button. And there's always someone like me who's on the other side and that can come back to you on it. But essentially what we do is we connect people with you guys. We help you guys get better at social media and give you guys as many hints, tips, tricks, training as we can to make the process easier for you. Now, I'm going to crack straight in today because we've got quite a lot to cover. So I don't know whether you guys have noticed, but this year seems to be a little bit different in terms of, I guess, the theme that people are using to connect with people on social media with their Christmas campaigns. And John Lewis might be a huge national, international brand, but there's lots that we can learn from how they have chosen to talk about their, their advert for this year. And one of the biggest things that they've done this year is their Christmas campaign. So I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'd like to think you've seen it, but let's go into it and we'll have a little chat about it. But this year they decided to do a campaign around, how would I describe it? A man who basically was working really, really hard to learn how to ride a skateboard. And he was learning how to ride a skateboard because he was going to be fostering a child who'd been sort of in and out of care, probably not had the best experience in the world. And he wanted to show her that, that he wanted to have a connection with her as soon as, I guess, that she crossed the threshold into his house. And so it's a really, really heartwarming story for those of you guys who haven't seen it. But I guess what I really like about this is talking about why. Now, one of the hardest things with being a business is if everybody has to have a CSR plan or a corporate social responsibility plan. It's really important, whether it is looking at the environment or whether it's a charity that you support or whether it's I don't know, the local community centre, it doesn't matter. It's all about the fact that you are a business that also gives back, and people really, really care about that. And I think that's become much more apparent over the last couple of years with, people struggling. And I think with Christmas this year, in case you haven't noticed, people are struggling. And so being a business that gives back in some way, shape or form is super important. Now with John Lewis, they are obviously a huge corporate organisation. For them to come across genuinely like they actually care, rather than just, it's not just a marketing campaign, it's actually something that they genuinely care about. What I want to look at is how they have come, how they've come across and how they've described why they've chosen to do this advert. So I'm going to show you the video first and then we'll dive into it.
It really felt like we had an opportunity to start talking about what we care about. It's a very different story than we've ever done before, and that was really deliberate. we've been working really closely with our key charity partners, so Action for Children and Who Cares Scotland.
This relationship with John Lewis, for us, is about changing lives and changing minds.
This just feels like the perfect time for us to make a difference. So John Lewis doing this is really just showing us that we are cared about and we matter.
I think it will make you stop and think and say, how can I help?
Okay, so I think, you know, most people would be quite moved by the advert in itself, but what I like is actually how they've gone on and explained it. So that video, I think, says it all. It's got the key people who were involved in creating the campaign. They've gotten together and they've explained why it was important and the fact that they've collaborated with the charity to ensure that that the campaign is meaningful and that the idea is about highlighting an issue that I guess most people, maybe it's a bit of a taboo subject, don't particularly talk about, maybe don't think about unless it's affected you in some way, shape or form. And the numbers are obviously quite staggering in terms of the number of children that it affects. So what they want to do is highlight an issue. So they've been very, very clear in telling us why they've done it. They've been very clear in saying that they've collaborated with charity partners in order to ensure that the campaign comes across in a way that it should, but without, I guess, being, you know, like all about the sadness. It's actually about the opportunity, I guess, you know, that children have when, you know, when they are being fostered or looked after by other people. And then I think it's also really important that they've shown, I guess, you know, that they have a heart in the, I guess, I don't know, I found it quite meaningful in their delivery of it. And not going into full-blown, you know, they're not trying to sell off the back of it. They're not promoting a John Lewis piece of furniture or a tablet or a laptop or anything like that, you know, for Christmas. It is pure about the charity and the fact that they are a brand that wants to give back. So I think what I liked about it is I guess those kind of key things. But as you can even see in the caption here, when they talk about it, it's about it's what we do that matters most. And that to me kind of encapsulates a lot of what people are doing this year for Christmas. People might not have an awful lot, but they want to give back. And I think, you know, we're in an economic crisis, and actually acknowledging that isn't a bad thing. Acknowledging that people are struggling is not a bad thing. And supporting a charity is not a bad thing either. So whether you're a council or shopping centre or an independent business, obviously we get a mix on here, or a place manager, think about, I guess, you know, if you are supporting a charity, don't just think about, you know, the charity and, you know, saying, I don't know, we've donated, might be £100, might be £100,000. You know, we've donated this. I want to know why. I want to know that it's not just because it's part of your CSR strategy. I want to know that, like this, you know, they're talking about being a force for positive change. We want young people to feel valued. It's Christmas in particular. This is going to hit them the hardest. They're talking about the fact that these are their charity partners. And then they're talking about, you know, having all these products, obviously, that you can buy to support this charity partner. But they've talked to me about why. So I don't just want to go in and buy one of their bears or their tote bags. I want to do it because it's going to support a child like the one that I've seen in the advert, which is obviously going to give you, I guess, you know, that emotional connection. They've then tagged in their charity partners as well, which again is really key. So because, you know, if they hadn't, you know, again, they're not going to get as much of the kind of reach, but I guess by tagging them in, that holds an area of responsibility as well, because you're literally saying, you know, that I'm doing this for you, and that charity will either back you up or say, you know, nope, never heard of them, you know. So I think that's also another key thing in it. But I guess any, you know, whatever you guys are doing, whether it's literally, you know, I've got a Santa Dash coming up, you know, it doesn't matter what it is that you guys are doing over this festive period. But I think by pretending that people aren't struggling or there's not something going on, we're almost masking something. So I think that the businesses this year, these big brands, are teaching us that actually it's okay to talk about struggle. It's okay to talk about whether it's a breast cancer charity or whether it's local Alzheimer's, you know, society or something like that. It's about having a connection with a charity that means something to you, but being honest about why. And I think that is, you know, that's something that we can all learn from. You don't have to go and create a video, but videos do really help, even just doing a live or something like that where you actually talk about it. But I guess that's one of the biggest things that I want to take away from this. I think we've all got an opportunity here to connect with people properly. And you can see, like for a big brand, people have gotten really involved in, obviously, they're going to have celebrities that follow them, but I think it's just talking about why. And what it's done here is it's also encouraged people to tell their story, which I think is really key. So it's really hit them. I always say hit them in the funnies or hit them in the feels. They really hit them in the feels this time. And with that, so it's encouraging conversation, it's encouraging engagement, and it's kind of giving people that insight into how you run your company, or place or shopping center, whatever it is that you run. Okay, this is another one which I came across, very, very different. So this is Shelter, the charity, and they have done a collaboration. Just let me click into it. Yeah, they've done a collaboration with All Saints. Now, people that don't know All Saints, I'm quite a big fan actually. All Saints are a fashion brand, really quite, like sort of like sexy, high fashion, quite grungy kind of fashion brand. They're also notoriously quite expensive as well, as a high street brand. However, they have done a collaboration with Shelter Charity. Now, Shelter Charity are obviously, like, I mean, it goes by the title if you don't know them, but it's all about helping people get a new home after they've been made homeless, or it might be just looking after them, or it might be giving them some support in some other way, shape or form through shelters. But they also have charity shops, and what they've done is they've done a collaboration with All Saints, where All Saints were going to be taking over 7 of their shops for a week. And they've created, I guess, this is, I think, the second year that they've done it. This is the first time I've actually seen them really talk about it. Where they've created a collection for them, but then the designers have actually gone in and physically hand chosen or hand picked certain items as well, like to put the front, they've looked at their shop window. They've made basically charity shops a little bit sexier, if you like, for over Christmas. They've made them more like attractive and made more appealing. And again, so whether you're an All Saints fan, you want to get something a little bit cheaper, you would go to charity shop, and that's only going to support Shelter Charity. Or on the flip side, it's raising awareness of a business that, I guess, has a heart and is doing something. So this is the post. It's really, I mean, it's really super simple. It's just Shelter times All Saints. That's all it says. And then they've done the list of all of the shops that were having the takeover, and it was over that week. So they could have gone all out. They could have done a load of videos. They actually haven't. They've just done a really, really simple ad or post here, and then they've just put attention fashion fans, we're excited to announce that All Saints we're taking over the Shelter shops all week starting today. Find the gorgeous collection handpicked while supporting the fight for home. You can see the hashtag, so people that were following that from last year will have refollowed that, which is great. So using hashtags is obviously key here. But I think the biggest thing is actually the simplicity of it. Then I went into All Saints Instagram off the back of this, and interestingly, they haven't really spoken much about it, which I kind of liked, because again, what I'm I guess demonstrating is how social media can drive that connection and through collaboration. And if you are collaborating with a charity, I obviously want to know why, like, what we talked about with John Lewis, but sometimes if the charity is shouting about you and you're not doing the shouting, that actually speaks volumes. So the charity talking about it in such a positive way is really, really strong, because then for me, I'm looking at that and going, wow, that's really interesting. It's cool that they've done it, but it's also quite cool that they're not shouting about it as like some big sales mechanic. It's actually just part of them being a charity partner and then wanting to give back. And obviously being a fashion brand and giving back to a homeless charity is really, really strong. So I actually really liked that, and I thought, I guess it's about collaboration. So I guess if you are a business and you're working with a charity, why not do kind of what John Lewis is doing and kind of what these guys are doing? Actually have a meeting with them and talk about, you know, right, okay, we're going to support you guys for the next year. What can we do? Is it that, you know, that you do something within their charity shops? Is it that you do something physical for them, you know, where you actually get your team in and do some donating, or, you know, I don't know, sorting out their charity shop, or it might be some volunteering. Or, you know, is it planting trees, whatever it might be, I guess, that, you know, sits in with your business. You know, the charity actually going on and talking about it and you not maybe shouting about it sometimes, you know, actually speaks volumes, I guess. So I found that quite interesting. And again, teaming up with something that people will really like, you know, whether it is, you know, if you're a shopping centre, it might be that, you know, you talk to some of your stores about donating and doing something with a charity shop, for example, doing a window display, donating some Christmas decorations, whatever it might be. But it just, again, it shows that you are genuinely thinking about it rather than it being, you know, just some kind of, you know, I'm just going to hand over, you know, a couple of £100 to a charity, if that makes any sense. So again, I found that really interesting as a campaign. And I don't know if you guys go into this section of Maybe, but I always take the opportunity to try and show you guys different things that you can do with it. This is the insight section. So when you go into the Maybe platform, if you go into, I guess, like the kind of reporting side of things, this is what your report would look like. So it shows you everything from who's got influence in your conversation. And by influence, I mean people that are talking about you. And if you're not being talked about, you need to be talked about. So this is something that we encourage, and that's through engagement. But you also have your most used hashtags, and then this is the gold stuff. So this is where you see what people are saying about you. So these are a collection of phrases or words that people are talking about you they're saying about you on a regular basis, and you can either do it through mentions or you can do it through comments. So just make sure that you go into your insight section to learn more about what's working and what's not, exactly like Shelter, exactly like John Lewis. You know, they're looking at their content and saying what's working and what's not, and then developing it accordingly. So just making sure that you're going in there, and then as usual, any questions on that stuff, then just click on the little blue button. Now this one, I'm actually going to take to YouTube for this one. So this one's interesting. So this was Walker's Crisps, and I love the idea of this ad. They've kind of reworked it this year. So I think they've kind of highlighted that it's Christmas is a challenging time for people, and particularly just now. And there's a real pressure, I guess, to appear positive and pretend that everything's fine, even when it's not. And so when I looked at what their marketing manager said about it, the message of the Christmas campaign is all about helping people to open up and talk about their feelings, and particularly men as well. And for them, they said it's important for people to talk about just to talk about what they've got going on, and particularly on the festive season. So let's take a little look at it. This might take a little second, guys. Sorry, it's taking its sweet time. Apologies. Come on, YouTube.
Just you again this year, dear? Yeah. Larry's here, everyone, and he's on his own here. Larry, Auntie, I've made something special for you. Oh, I love it. I love it. Larry! It's called the train, come on! And Mama. Hi, Larry. The other thing you need to think about is underlay. You need some kind of 3mm underlay that you can get through.
Oh, hello, mate. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah? In this jumper, you can't be fine. How are you really?
This Christmas, let's talk more, because it's good to share. Just not your crisps. Walkers has given Comic Relief £2 million to support mental well-being programmes.
Okay, so let's have a look at why that would drive connection. Okay, so it fits in well with obviously the theme. They always talk about, like sharing, not sharing, that kind of thing. So it's a kind of play on words, but they can afford to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek with it because it's for they're doing it with comic relief, so naturally it is about being funny. They are highlighting an issue through the emojis, which kind of fits in well, like they're focusing a lot on younger demographics as a business. And so I think doing the little emojis, these little happy faces, sad faces and things like that in the background is really important, because again, it's something that people recognize. And I think the connection part was really good because they're kind of highlighting, I don't know, they're highlighting something that people are too scared to talk, and they're talking about it. So I just really, really appreciated, I guess, the kind of idea behind it, and their reason for doing it. And I feel that as any business, making sure that and making sure that in the caption as well, it's good to share not just your crisps. And they're saying that that's why they're giving. So it's going back to that why. So they're saying we're giving £2 million to Comic Relief, but we're doing it because we want to support mental well-being programs. And then they've got a link that obviously you can't click it on Instagram, but there's a link there that explains, that takes you through to learning more about why. Also, they've done the follow-up bit, which again I think is really, really important, and I think that everybody could learn from. If you are supporting a charity that helps people specifically with a thing, whether it's a service or it might be a women's refuge, or it might be a I don't know, cancer charity or whatever it might be, talk about who you're supporting, talk about why, try and drive connection through something that I guess people would understand, but then also put the link to tell us how we can get support. There might be somebody that knows someone that didn't know, about this tiny little local charity, and you could be really helping someone. And again, that is about giving back, because these guys are giving £2 million, but what else are they doing? So it shouldn't just be about the money. It should be about actually, this might help somebody that actually just needs to talk to someone. And I think where we could learn from this kind of thing, and actually the theme of it about people talking more, is about connection. And we've all had a really, really tough couple of years, and this Christmas isn't shaping up to be a huge amount better for an awful lot of people. And I think even if you just took the emoji idea, it's something I was thinking about this morning. Even if you just take this as an emoji idea, as like a little campaign, and ask people to put, how are you feeling today? Feel free to talk to us. We'd love to engage with you. It might be, doing it on social media where people have just got to put, the emoji. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they indifferent? Are they laughing? What they're laughing about? Just encourage people to talk and engage with you. Something as simple as that will not only drive your engagement, but will connect you with people. And I think that again is a lot that people can learn from, like something that Walkers has done. And it is something as simple as just asking people how they're feeling. And it could be that your staff start it off, for example, or I don't know, you start it off by saying, I don't know, for me, it's feeling a little bit under the weather, for example, at the moment. So it could be something like that. But yeah, it was just a suggestion, I guess, that I had. But a couple of things that, that to take from it, and that, it is about emotion and getting the emotion across, and that, you don't have to talk. Sometimes it's actually more about the listening, but actually asking people to do it in the first place is the kind of key here. A couple of things they could do more is things like stronger hashtags, like adding in some hashtags to make sure that, I guess, what that they're actually coming up for people, and things like that. But yeah, all round, I thought it was a really good campaign that quite a lot of us could learn from. And then finally, Waitrose. Now, this is a really interesting one. So they created an ad campaign, and they actually got a load of complaints about it. So I don't know whether you've seen this or not seen this, but basically they are highlighting, what they want to highlight is that a lot of care goes into Christmas for people. So for us, it might be, you've got to run around buying the turkey, you've got to, look after the kids, you've got to tidy the house, you've got to buy the gifts, there's so many things that go into making up, the perfect Christmas, if you like. And they wanted to show that actually there's a lot that goes into creating Christmas for us, like we have to buy it from them, if you like. And so they wanted to show all their suppliers. And one of those suppliers actually was farmers. And in the previous ad, so before I kind of show you this, in the previous ad, they were comparing their suntans which I guess, you know, that each their own, I guess, but a lot of people put in complaints about this ad and the comparison of suntans, because they said that it was it was glorifying suntans, and therefore it was a negative connotation to a lot of people who'd experienced skin cancer, and they felt that it wasn't an appropriate thing for a big, you know, business to do, and was kind of glorifying the idea of being out in the sun and catching a suntan. So they, you know, people, they got a lot of stick for it. It was things like, you know, I'm just looking at some of the quotes there. It was a kick in the teeth for melanoma patients, and all the organizations trying to educate everyone in the dangers of suntans. What are you thinking? Words fail me. And then their response back to it was, do you know what? Fine, we'll hold our hands up. We didn't think about that side of it when we created the ad. We just wanted to highlight the farmers, not actually, you know, the suntan was more of a bit of a joke really to them, but clearly it wasn't to other people. So what they've done is they have tweaked it, and they've taken out that scene, and they've held their hands up and talked about it. So let's have a little look.
Everywhere you go, take a look in the 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. Sure, it's Christmas once more.
Okay, so you get the gist from that. That is them looking at basically everything that goes into making that Christmas dinner. They've shown in the background. So they've probably been filming bits and bobs like that over the year, taking lots of snippets from their farmers, right through to, you know, I think I saw a turkey farm there, right through to, you know, people growing their Brussels sprouts, right through to, you know, like their team. And I think what I liked was that they have listened and been upfront and honest and taken some accountability for it. Yeah, it was their marketing team came up with this idea, but yeah, didn't hit the mark. Completely appreciate that. We've taken it out. So what they've said here is, you know, we're resharing our Christmas ad. You might notice a tweak. It was intended to be lighthearted and true to life moments of our farmers. However, we've appreciated about the sun safety, and we're doing the right thing. And then they've kind of gone into basically the detail that they would have shared originally about their ads. So, you know, celebrating the care they put in all year round. It's raising pigs in rainy February. So that shows you that you can show you care by serving up the most delicious feast for a family. So it's good because they've done an advert, which I actually really like in terms of the meaning behind it, because we all do put a lot of effort, and Christmas is a big deal for people. And whether you've got one person coming round or 50 people coming round, it takes a lot of effort to put on a big Christmas dinner, have lots of family around. It can be quite exhausting. Making sure, you know, that the kids are happy and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of acknowledging that. But actually, it's a business that's thanking their suppliers. It's showcasing them and showing, you know, the time and the effort that actually goes into each individual Brussels sprout, right through to things in the blankets, right through to their mince pies and all the other bits and bobs. And I think any business can learn from this. Maybe not the bit that they got into trouble for, although you can hold your hands up to stuff, and I think that's fair. But I think it's more about actually you can take the opportunity. So if you're not supporting a cause this year, maybe you can thank people. Maybe you can thank all your suppliers. You know, say you are a business that uses a lot of suppliers, or even you're a business that has clients, for example, tag them all in on Instagram and say, look, I just want to thank you so much for this year. You know, you guys have been amazing, and I want to thank you for X, Y, and Z. It could be that you turn it into a little series. It could be that actually, as a business, you know, maybe you're a shopping center, you want to, you know, so you want to thank all of your staff. Maybe you want to thank the people that supplied your Christmas grotto. Maybe you want to thank your retailers. If you're a council, maybe you want to thank, you know, like it could be like all the local organizations, any charities that you've worked with. It could be your team. It could also be that, you know, I don't know, like you're an independent cafe and you've got a bunch of amazing team members. And maybe talk about why, you know, they've talked about, you know, like they've gone into detail about the why. Again, it's going back to that connection. If you want to connect with people on social media and get more engagement, that's how you do it. You show the human connection, you show the people behind a business, you look at the detail, and it could literally be that you do an unboxing. I've seen some businesses that have literally, you know, like, I don't know, they've had a box come from a supplier and they've unboxed it live on Facebook or live on Instagram, and they've talked about, you know, like, we get this from this independent local business because, I don't know, they share our, you know, ethos on X, Y, and Z, you know, sustainability, whatever it is. So I think that you can take this as an opportunity to thank people. So if nothing else, it's great for the Instagram algorithm, because Instagram loves that, because you're tagging lots of businesses and they're going to tag you back, they're going to share it, so it's great for reach. It's good for engagement because they're naturally, you know, you're kind of inclined, if someone tags you in something, to comment or do something with it. But it also shows that you have a heart as well, and that actually, you know, that you want to thank people for their support. It could just be that you do, you know, a thank you very much for supporting my independent business this year. There's lots and lots that you can do, but I think it's just kind of giving that giving thanks at Christmas and celebrating, I guess, all of the things, all of the people, all the stuff that goes into creating that for people. And it could literally be, you know, I think I showed it a couple of weeks ago, a garden centre that was showing, you know, like the guy who was putting up their Christmas trees. It could be as simple as that. You want to thank Michael for putting up your Christmas tree. But there's lots that we can learn, I think, from that. But as I say, just make sure that you tag them so that, you know, they know that that, I guess, that you're supporting them. And this is where you can learn how to do all this stuff. So these are, so basically when I'm not on this webinar, I'm sitting with the rest of the team at Maybe, and we are creating all these how-to videos. So this is on the video section of Maybe. So if you go into the Skills Hub, there's how-to videos on absolutely everything from, as you can see here, how to create an Instagram business account through to how to set up a Twitter account. And then there's loads of good case studies here, you know, so how to tap into emotions to drive engagement. There's how to add value through reels. There's loads of great stuff. So if you want to learn more from what you've heard on here, they're in like sort of 2 minute, 3 minutes little snippets, you know, so you're not going to be sitting there for long. But if you just want to upskill and maybe over the festive period, then this is a really good way of doing it. And as you can see, there's 206 videos. And I've been working with the team over the whole year to deliver them all. So hopefully they're helpful. And then remember, you can compare and improve. So you can, as I showed you, that's the Maybe dashboard. And so, you know, there might be a competitor that's down the road. There might be one, you know, that's, you know, the other end of the country. It might be a national brand that you want to compare yourself to, or someone that you want to learn from, someone that you think's awesome at social media and you want to learn how they do it. You can compare them for free as soon as you sign up. Or if you want to compare and get more data and learn from more people, then you can just click on the little blue button and we'll come up with a little plan that suits you. And I guess these are the key takeaways. So if you're supporting a cause this year, I mean, I don't know whether I mentioned it probably about 100 times, but we want to know why. Tell us, why are you supporting them? Why is it interesting to you? Why does it, you know, why does it give you all the feels? You know, what is it about this cause that really connects you to it? Because if it connects you, it'll connect me and it'll make me want to give to that cause, and it'll help me understand you as a business owner more. Collaborate where you can, even if it's just your team doing it. So it might be, you know, that you're collaborating with a charity, or it might be that, you know, that you're giving back through something, or that your whole team is doing, you know, a Santa Dash or whatever it might be, a fun run, a sponsored walk, something, you know, give back, do some volunteering, do something, but tell us about it and let us know, you know, why you're doing it. Because again, that's the key. If you're just doing it, you know, there's no real connection for me. I mean, I might think it's nice, but actually what I want to know is why you're doing it. And that's the bit that drives the connection. Use your content to help people connect with you as a person behind your business. And again, whether you're a marketing manager or whether you are an independent business owner and it's just you and your team, I want to understand, you know, like it might be about your year, sharing your stories, talking about the highs and lows of the year, talking about just now, the economic crisis. It could be just you sharing a story about your dog. It doesn't matter. I want to understand the people behind the business, because people buy from people. And honestly, that has never been more true than now. If you've had an issue, hold your hands up. If you've learned from something, you've had feedback on something, just hold your hands up. People respect that. And then finally, just give thanks at Christmas. This is the season to give thanks, and it is the season to give back. And there's no better way than, you know, to drive engagement and support and reach and all the, you know, all the great social media stuff. But actually, it's about connection, and it's about connecting you with the potential people that are going to either be supplying you or it's your customers. Because it feels good, but also supports your business. So just make sure that you're tagging people and thanking people at this time of year.